Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, good evening. Honorable mayors, city representatives, colleagues, and friends. My name is Kirby Brandt, and I'm the Deputy Secretary General of ICLEI. Our long name is ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainability, but you can just call us ICLEI. And it is a privilege to moderate this timely and critical conversation. Before we begin, I would like to go through some housekeeping rules, noting that there is simultaneous interpretation in French. You can simply select the corresponding channel on your Zoom screen by clicking on the global icon you will find in the bottom of your screen. It looks like a globe, and just select your language there. Today, it is really an honor for ICLEI and for myself to be partnering with the World Water Council on the Cities with Water webinar series and the international photography competition we held together. Cities are the front line when it comes to response, frontline responders to the changed hydrological cycle experienced globally and driven by climate change. Increasingly, they have to deal with water, which is either too little, too much, or too dirty. Today, we are hosting the third webinar in this series of webinars on too dirty water, hearing from cities what proactive steps they are taking to ensure good water quality for all. For those of you who have participated in the previous webinars in this series, you will know that we aim to keep to the 1.5 hour time frame. However, today we have an exciting addition which will add another 15 minutes at the end of the webinar. The finalists and winners of the first ever Cities with Water photo competition will be presenting and showcasing the 16 shortlisted finalists as well as the 4 winners across the categories of too little, too much, too dirty, and also a special youth prize. I do hope that you can stay for this additional part of the program, and I'm sure you will find it worthwhile. And now we are going to just go through a couple of slides, which my colleague Anton Earl is going to help me take us through. And the first slide is really looking at just very briefly what ICLEI is. ICLEI is a global network of cities and subnational governments, and we have put urban firmly on the sustainability agenda, working with and effectively advocating for local and subnational governments in the global arena for over 30 years and working with over 2,500 local and regional governments around the world in over 125 countries. Together, we make water a political priority for all. As you know, the World Water Council was created in 1996 to promote political action, advocacy, and hydro-diplomacy, bring together every stakeholder that is involved in water in one way or another to enhance new innovative solutions to protect water, and to organize every 3 years the World Water Forum, gathering more than 20,000 persons at these prestigious events. Also, 250 plus members in the water sector in over 50 countries. So our partnership really has a very widespread globally, and together we believe that we can drive impact for change at the local level, specifically focused on taking local action. Webinar 1 focused on too little water. The challenges highlighted were climate change, of course, which has increased the severity and frequency of droughts. Also, rapid urban growth was highlighted, which has led to over-abstraction of water. And thirdly, waste was a problem identified, with non-revenue water rising up to 30% globally. There was a big call for action in this webinar. The call for action had 5 points, preserve source water through catchment conservation, develop non-conventional sources for water, reclaim wastewater, treat water fit for use purpose, and also communication and stakeholder engagement. That was followed by a very, very active second webinar where we focused on too much. The challenges highlighted there again was climate change and how it increased the severity and frequency of floods. Rapid urban growth has also reduced infiltration zones, a big highlight of webinar 2. And thirdly, health impacts on flooding. Pathogens and disease vectors are spreading rapidly through water. There was a big call for action there too, focused on community engagement, which is essential for flood preparedness. Work for nature and with nature to create permeable zones in the city and the city surrounds and in the upstream catchments. There is no one solution. That was clear, a clear message from webinar 2, but a constellation of small significant actions can drive global change. What a powerful statement we see every day working with our 2,500 and more cities around the world. And then last but not least, multi-level governance and multi-level leadership needs to be engaged beyond the scope of the city. And then just very quickly on the photo competition, joining us today for showcasing our 16 finalists. We're very, very happy to be showcasing these 16 finalists. It was no easy task to shortlist them, and the presentation of the winning entries. And there will also be at the end of this webinar interviews with the winning photographers. And now we turn to a survey. And I'd like to remind you to go to Mentimeter. I think you can just go to menti.com and you can either scan the QR code in the corner of the screen or you can punch in the code you see on your screen. The question, we ask you to participate in this Menti, and as you go towards the Menti, the question we will ask of you is which 3 sources of dirty water pose the greatest risk to urban communities? Just 3 sources of dirty water. If you feel so strongly, you can answer the same one in all 3 your slots. But please take part of the Menti. And Anton, you will signal to me when we can move then on from this Mentimeter to our first presentation, which will be focusing on the city of Istanbul. And there we will be hearing from the city of Istanbul. But before we do, we're just looking at the results coming through from the Menti. Very interesting. It's changing all the time. We see head to head, and now we see there is a number 1 coming through pretty strongly. Thank you very much for your active participation. Please, you can take your time to still make your inputs into this Mentimeter. It's important to get your insights because after all, your voice counts when it comes to us finding solutions for our cities. There seems to be a consistent 1, 2, 3, and then I think 3, 4, 5, 6. They're quite interchangeable. Number 2 is coming through stronger here. I'm not a sports commentator, but I feel a little bit like one. But water is our life, and it's no matter of sports, but it is a very serious matter. So thank you very much for coming through with your very clear first 2 comments there. And we'll run the Mentimeter, but I think, and please keep those inputs coming. There are a lot of people in this webinar. We thank you for attending, but I think it's very clear that there is a strong 1 and 2 coming through, and then all the others are also regarded as important. Now let's turn to our first speaker, Dr. Ahmet Saatçi, who is a Senior Professional Officer of Water and Sanitation in the Directorate of Water at the city of Istanbul. And Turkey is leading in many ways. For us, we know that Turkey is also a very key country when it comes to addressing water challenges, like so many others in the MENA region, in Europe, in the world, known for challenges but also solutions. So from the city of Istanbul, Dr. Saatçi, I hand the floor to you. Thank you very much.
I thank you. Shall I share the presentation or how will it go?
Yeah, you can share your presentation, or we can do it for you if you want.
I will, if I share it, then I can, I think I can control it.
Yeah.
There we go.
You're welcome.
I think, well, I made it the first time. It's
fantastic.
Such a tricky thing. Okay.
There
so
we
I'm
go.
trying to enlarge it. I'm trying to enlarge it. Just a minute. I have these.
On slideshow.
It says slideshow. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, this one.
Is it working now? Or okay. There we go. I think I can move around. Yes. Okay. Very good. Excellent. Okay. That's me. There we go. Yeah. So I will talk about two topics. First, bringing water from a basin of 185 kilometers away and solving the pollution of a major drinking water reservoir of Istanbul. Now, for those of you who may not know where Turkey is located, we are a bridge between Asia and Europe. So this part, I don't know, this part is on the European part, and this location is the Asian part. So Istanbul is located in between, and we have an Asian part and a European part. We have the Bosphorus and the Black Sea and the Marmara Sea. Black Sea, millions of years ago, it was a freshwater lake. And because of a big earthquake or a tsunami, we don't know, the Marmara Sea water, which is salty, entered into Black Sea water. And as a result, the whole life in the Black Sea died. And after 300 meters, we don't have any life. We have hydrogen sulfide. You can see the reservoirs. We have surface reservoirs. The first Roman city of Constantinople was in this very small area. Now Istanbul has enlarged, and we have 3 bridges which cross from Asia to Europe. The population increases exponentially. It says here 13 million something. Don't believe it. It's 18 million. And it keeps on going, increasing. And the city historically had a water shortage. So we decided to have an interbasin water transfer. That means Istanbul is here, the Black Sea is here, the Marmara Sea is here. We brought water from a river which goes into the Black Sea. We diverted the river through a line which crosses even the Bosphorus from the Asian side to the European side. So first we have one pumping, then it comes by gravity, and it comes to a treatment plant over here. It's pumped again, it crosses the Bosphorus, so this part here, and it goes to the European side. We have 60% of the water on the Asian side. We have 60% of the population in the European side. So this tunnel, water tunnel, is important. That's why I want to show pictures of it. And that's me right in the center. This tunnel is now full of water. Nobody can enter it till the doomsday, probably. This is Asia. This is the European part. So we transfer water from 2 continents. This is some water demand we suggested in 1968, and you can see that we are following, and most of it, the curve, and we are pumping about 3.5 million cubic meters of water every day. That's because of this transfer of water. The blue parts are Melen 1, Melen 2, Melen 3. The river contributions. Now, approximately 1 cubic meter of water, we pay $1. So if you pump 3.5 or million cubic meters per day, that means the Water and Sewerage Authority has about $3.5 million income every day. This is the wastewater treatment plants. We have wastewater treatment plants around the Marmara Sea, but we have treatment plants around the Bosphorus here. That has an interesting part because the heavy or the more salty Marmara seawater goes below. The fresh or less salty Black Sea water goes from the top. What we do around the Bosphorus is we inject the wastewater to the bottom layer, which goes into the Black Sea. I have told you that after 300 meters, we don't have any life. So this wastewater, retreated, enters into the Black Sea. Now, the second part of the speech I will talk is the Ömerli Reservoir. This is a huge reservoir, one of the main reservoirs. It's rainwater, and it has 387 million cubic meters of water. So that's very huge, and it's prohibited to settle around the water resources. Water reservoirs are usually at the bottom of the topography. And when it rains, the whole wastewater goes into this region. If you have settlements around, then their wastewater also enters into the drinking water, and that was our problem. So it was very hard to control these unlegal settlements, unfortunately. And we had to build the treatment plant very quickly. And first, before we built it, the wastewater entered from this arm, and we have our wastewater treatment plants over here. The whole reservoir was covered with algae, and that was one of the biggest problems. Now, these illegal settlements, shanty towns, they start like this, and during the elections, they have electricity, water, and private schools maybe, and they keep on going. So the municipality realizes that they pollute, so they demolish them. We have problems. And next phase, they built another house on top of the other one. That's quite interesting. And these places, they turn into new constructions, and they are something like this today. So some illegal settlements, they turn into nice areas, but the wastewater, of course, is a problem. And again, what we had done was to build a treatment plant here very quickly in less than a year, and then divert the water through a tunnel to the Black Sea. That was our solution. That is where the wastewater treatment plants are. This is where the water treatment plants are. The intakes are here. So this part before was totally covered with algae. When it is covered with algae, the filters in the treatment plant, they are clogged. And
Professor,
you cannot Sorry?
Professor, just to remind you, we have to wrap up in 1 minute. Thank you.
Sure. I'm almost finished.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So the algae collects at the top. We started to stop the algae, tried to stop the algae, but when the algae dies after 1 year, the iron and manganese, they start entering the water system, and we had red water problems. This is the algae. I have taken the photographs, the enemy. And as a result, what we have done is collected the wastewater in this area, and we could discharge it to the Black Sea. And this is our first primitive treatment plant. Now it evolved into this, and this is the last case. So it became a very nice area. And the wastewater, when you remove the carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus, the eutrophication starts. But the old algae, the dying algae, caused red water problem, which passed later on. So this is the effluent, and it goes into this creek, which is used for irrigation. Thank you very much. I think it's less than 1 minute.
Thank you so much, Professor Saatchi.
You're welcome.
This was a very quick glimpse at some fantastic examples of what's happening in Istanbul, and I'm sure you can go much deeper into each of these examples and many more. So thank you very much also for keeping it brief but giving us a deep overview of exactly the innovation that is happening in Istanbul at the moment. But it's not the last we'll hear from Professor Saatchi, because we're now turning to the youth representative of the World Water Council from Indonesia, Ahmad Solekin. Ahmad, you are now welcome to pose a brief question as youth representative of the World Water Council to Professor Saatchi, and you will also have the opportunity to do so for each of our speakers. Please, you have 5 minutes between you and Professor Saatchi for a quick exchange before we turn to our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kobi. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Ahmet Saatchi.
Hi, Ahmed.
Good.
Question
Hello.
from Ahmed to Ahmed, yeah? Okay.
Nice to meet you, Professor Ahmed. So I would like to ask you a question. As a young people representing youth from Asia and the Pacific, I would like to know related about your presentation that really interesting to me, especially for young people to understand about the interoperability of the intersectoral coordination of the specific sectors. For instance, I noted that it's not only just about water pollution and also water sector, but also it's also include with the population. I understand the population in Istanbul, it's almost like 16 million, right? And the demand of the water is really increasing with the height of population and so on. And also we noted about the environment issue, about the algae blooming, and also pollution from plastic and microplastic. So I would like to know what kind of the policy, the policy, the effective policy implementation of your specific innovation or research that maybe in line with the in Istanbul master plan, or maybe like specific strategic development measurement. That's all for myself. Thank you.
Thank you. In master plans, we have 3 zones around the reservoirs: strictly prohibited zone, etc., etc. It goes kilometers. But unfortunately, when you have this, illegal peoples, they migrate to Turkey, no place, they migrate to Istanbul, and they form the shanty towns, and they have votes. So political interventions are the biggest problem here. These restricted zones are not restricted anymore, and they have settlements because they have votes. And the government helps them. For the engineers, the only solution we have is to collect their wastewater, have the advanced treatment, remove nitrogen, phosphorus, and carbon, and then even then we shouldn't inject this water into a drinking water, because we cannot remove all the pollutants. And the only way is to pump this to the nearest water or to the nearest sea that we have around. That's one case of study, but it took at least 3 years to achieve this. First, we had the treatment plant, and I worked in the design, and we made about 30 mistakes. Then in the second treatment, we did not repeat them. Then we pumped the water through a tunnel. We had to construct a new tunnel to the cell. The question is that it's not only technical solution, but politics play a big role here. And if the army controls, for example, the northern parts, because we are a NATO country and close to Russia, these places are protected severely. There is no settlement there. But the southern parts you have seen, they are more relaxed. People are taking precautions, as you have seen, demolitions. But somehow, in this case, it didn't work, unfortunately.
Thank you, Professor Saatchi, and thank you also. We will come back certainly to Dr. Ahmad for the engagement with our next speaker. So we are now turning. It's also a city that is deeply embedded in a history with water. Too much, too little, too dirty. We know all of that in the city of eThekwine in South Africa, which is also my home country. And I'm very, very happy and proud to introduce to you Mr. Russel Stow, who is the manager of Transformative Riverine Management Program in the eThekwine municipality in Durban, South Africa. Russel, I'm going to hand over to you for your slides, and I know that you're also going to be showing us a slide presentation. And with this, I want to say a last word of thank you very, very much to Professor Saatçi for your insightful presentation, but also your response, where you focused on learning from mistakes, learning from 30 mistakes. I think that's one of the key messages I'll take with me. And that's okay. We learn from mistakes, we move on, and we innovate together. We now turn to Russel for your presentation when you're ready, Russel. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to present at this webinar. Let me just quickly share my screen. And move everybody else out the way.
There we go. It just needs to go
You got
to
it?
slideshow.
It was.
Maybe just try again, Russell.
Yeah. It's telling me it's in full. It's telling me it's in full screen. No?
Not on our side, Russell.
Oh dear.
Let's see if we can sort it out. Otherwise, it's also fine to look at it this way. But if you want to try again.
Yeah, I'm trying.
It's sometimes tricky. If you
not...
you move over, it doesn't always automatically go to the slideshow presentation.
Suddenly put it up on a second screen. Can you see that?
Yes, full slideshow. There you go, Russell. Floor is yours. Thank you.
Problem is I can't see my own screen.
Okay, we're on your first slide.
Sorry, I can't see myself. I can't see. Okay, let's do this. All right. So sorry, everybody, about the technical issues. Thank you for the opportunity again. Let me just quickly introduce Durban to you. I've lost all control here. All right, has it moved to the next slide?
Not yet, Russell. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Second slide, we can now see the map of Durban. You've moved 2 slides on.
All right. So, sorry, guys. So Durban is on the south coast of South Africa. It is in a subtropical climate. Our municipality is much smaller than that of Turkey. We've only got 4 million people. And we have, what makes Durban unique is that we have 18 river systems that cross our municipality, which is significantly more than most other people and most other municipalities across the continent and the world. We have 16 estuaries and 100 kilometers of coastline. I know we're talking about dirty water today, so what becomes quite important is that we have about 150 informal settlements that fall within our city. That's about a quarter of the city's population. 1 million people live in informal settlements. Durban, going forward into the coming years, is going to be quite heavily impacted by climate change, where we're going to receive much more rain and increased sea level rise and temperatures as a result of climate change over the coming years. In terms of water quality, our system is very difficult to manage, given our topography, where we've got very steep and river valleys and gorges. And of our 18 river systems, we only have 1 that is considered to be in an acceptable water quality condition. As you can see from the picture there, most of our rivers are in a very poor condition or in a fair condition. And the intention of our river program is to return these back to a healthy environmental state. We have in the city 145 sampling points that are sampled monthly, and they are sampled for E. coli, pH, conductivity, temperature, dissolved oxygen, and nutrients. And that data is collected by our water and sanitation department, and they prepare these sorts of maps every month for the residents of the city to see. So, as with all cities, our issues start in terms of the river health and the community health around sanitation issues and sewage flowing into our rivers, as you can see there. That is a surcharging sewer manhole in the top left corner. All of that sewage flows into our river systems, as well as industrial wastes and detergents, as you can see from the second picture on the right. We often have these rivers flowing with bubbles and foam that can stand up to 2 meters tall. And all of this moves downstream towards our urban areas or the more densely populated areas in our informal settlements, who also add their waste to the system because many of these informal settlements don't have adequate sanitation. So their waste is thrown into the rivers, their litter, their sewage, and their waste materials. We also have the issue of major pipelines that run through Durban to Johannesburg, and these are often damaged, vandalized, and cause the discharge of heavy fuels, heavy oils into our river systems. And these all end up in our harbor, which is the busiest port on the African continent, and causes significant damage to the operations of the port and to the estuary, which is part of the port environment. So we had a major storm in April 22, and I hope you can see the pictures. Kobe, if you can't, let me know. That caused significant damage across the city, more than 100 billion rands worth of damage to residences and to industry. It destroyed natural environmental areas. It exposed and damaged cities' infrastructure. And all of this ended up on our beaches, affecting our economy and our tourism industry. So the Transformative River Management Program is about trying to clean up the litter and the alien plant material as a start from our rivers to protect our infrastructure. And we started a program called Cieslands Imvelo, which looked at employing local community members who formed small companies called cooperatives, who were employed by the city to work in 5-kilometer stretches. And these little companies would be given a space, and they would go and clean 3 meters of river corridor of alien plants and all the litter. It's working very well. We've started with 300 kilometers of river. We've now moved to 600 kilometers, but we're a long way away from being able to clean all 7,500 kilometers of city river. It's obviously a major expense to the city, but what we've been able to show through a business case that was supported by many of the international funders, GIZ, CFF, AFD, and some of the World Bank, is that if we put in R1 into river management, we can get back R2.60 in municipal and societal benefits. It creates significant jobs. It reduces the damage to our municipal infrastructure. And it does allow for economic opportunities that we never realized related to river management and river cleaning. So the Transformative River Management Program uses a climate adaptation approach to transform the relationship between people and the rivers and the economy and the people. It looks to creating a sustainable approach to addressing climate change vulnerability and building resilience of our city. It looks to incorporating nature-based solutions in river management, community ecosystem-based adaptation, and green and circular economy opportunities for our communities who live on the rivers, with the intent of scaling up existing initiatives and creating new opportunities, all for the betterment of the people of our country.
Russel, can we wrap up in about 30 seconds?
Yes, I was getting right to it. I'm just trying to move the slide. I don't know, can you see the river projects slide?
We see the concept, program concept. So it's one more slide on, I think.
Oh, okay. So we're engaging our communities through the TRMP, and we're employing people, we're training them to become subsistence farmers, to look after their river systems. They get involved in citizen science, and they help to do river management through what we call mini SAS, which looks at the benthic communities of rivers. And we could give these people opportunities and income to feed their families and look after themselves. So I'm going to leave it there given the time. Just to say that the TRMP is a work in progress. It involves all levels of people in our city, from the poorest of the poor, the richest of the rich, to industry, commerce, tourism, all with the idea of creating a healthier and more sustainable approach to river management in Durban. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
so
you
sorry
so
about
much.
the technical issues with the slides.
No. It's perfect. Russell, thank you very much. And I just want to assure you and everybody that is joining this webinar, Russell's got 3 more slides, and we'll make sure that the entire presentation, which has text on the slides that explain the slides as well, will be shared with everybody. I want to congratulate the City of Durban, eThekwine, for what you're doing, because you focus here on a people-centered approach, but you also did the math. You also showed that investing in water infrastructure and cleanup activities really pays off. It makes financial sense. And that financial framework is a very, very strong argument for other cities to also follow. Inspired as we are by Istanbul and by eThekwine, thank you for the great work that you're doing, focusing on ecosystems as well. But let me not carry on with, I'm so proud of what you're doing here in the city of eThekwine, but let me hand the floor now to our youth representative from the World Water Council, Dr. Ahmet Saatçi, for a quick question of clarification. If we can keep this exchange to 2 to 3 minutes, Ahmet, that will be fantastic. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Kobe, for the opportunity. I would like to know about your presentation, especially on transformative river management program in Durban. I know that you already develop a lot of activities, intervention to make your city of being environmentally safe and healthy and sound, right? I just want to know what kind of the plan, the future plan that would like to mainstream your intervention under the transformative program into more inclusive way, in which that it's not only just scale up in the site of your city, but also in scale up in other city and also in other region, and within the national fora or possibly regional fora. Although that we know that it's like the Durban is like a city that's very giving like the best champion on the and then transformative program, also some base practice on your water project that you already conducted. I just want to know what kind of your future plan to mainstream and that program into more broader within the national fora, with engaging like the walls of society and also wall of the government, that we know that it's mostly the working in silo. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. This program is not just Durban's. It's an initiative that we are trying to market around on the continent and around the world. And it has received a lot of attention across Africa. Within South Africa, we are working closely with a number of the large cities in South Africa, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Pretoria, to implement. And they've taken our model and they are adapting it to create their own models to fit into how their cities operate so that they can also better manage their rivers. So it's working well in terms of sharing information between South African cities. It's working well across a number of African cities that have also taken the model and are starting to implement themselves. It's not rocket science. It's really just a very simple idea of integrating the environment with people and urban development to try and find a way for it to work together. So we know that a number of cities across the world, a number of cities in Europe are very interested in the concept and are trying to implement it. Again, their context is very different to ours, so it does need to be sort of molded. But the idea is to spread the word, let people know that we have found one way to make our urban spaces work better with nature, using people. And it's working well. And the plan is to continue to expand it, to develop it, to polish it, to make it better. And anybody who comes up with a better way to do what we're doing, we are very keen to talk to them so that we can make ours better
Thank you.
too.
Thank you, Russell. And I just want to say, eThekwine, City of Durban, a long-standing member of ICLEI, and we always take delight in showing these examples from Durban at the global stage, and we will continue doing so. We also know that you have many twin cities in Africa and elsewhere, and that you
Yes.
share very freely these lessons that you're learning. So thank you very much for being so open with your technologies and the lessons that you learn and the innovation that you take. Thank you
Again,
very much,
apologies for the
Russ.
presentation hiccups.
No. It was perfect. Thank you very, very much. We are now turning to another part of the world, also back to Europe again, to Sweden, Stockholm, all the way to Stockholm. Ms. Katarina Forlow, who is the project leader in the land and water administration of Stockholm. And Katarina, without further ado, let me hand the floor to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen as well.
Please. You're welcome. And it does take a minute or two. We see your slides. There we go. Presentation mode. All set to go.
Good. Thank you so much. And I'm also, of course, very happy to be given the opportunity to share our experiences up here from Sweden. And with this picture, I want to show you that Stockholm, that is situated located on the west coast in the middle of Sweden, and the capital is literally surrounded by water. And the water is really a big part of our identity. We are about 1 million inhabitants or population in the city. And the water here provides us with drinking water, recreation. There's actually ability to swim in the city, and people go fishing and boating and so on. And also to mention, in the area of climate change, it's also worth mentioning that the heat regulation properties of water in the city is very important. And I'm going to tell you a little about how we improve the water quality in our lakes, rivers, and coastal water. To give you a hint of where we are, the red square is Stockholm, and we are located on the border between the freshwater system, Lake Mälaren, and the sea, the Baltic Sea. So the area is really an estuary with brackish water, and Lake Mälaren is our drinking water supply. And now I will give you a glimpse of our journey, how we nowadays actually are able to swim in the middle of the city. There are 34 official swimming spots. Some of them are in the city, but not too many decades ago, you wouldn't really want to put your foot in some of those waters. And the major impacts due to the urban environments are, of course, like in any city, the old sins, such as untreated urban wastewater, or sewage water, and industrial wastewater, and of course, land use. We have also, of course, stormwater that is contaminated, and a problem with overflow of wastewater. And naturally, altered habitats all around the city, since we are in an urban environment. And the water management work in Stockholm is based on the EU Water Framework Directive, which is implemented in the Swedish legislation as the environmental code. And this is important for us because it really gives us a common understanding and goals throughout the whole organization on the multifunctional, what do you call it? Multifunctional governance. And it also gives us a budget to work on. And also, I would like to put a picture of the Princess of Sweden here, the Crown Princess, which is also very engaged in the water issues. And that, of course, helps when we have to work with it. And the municipalities and authorities are obliged to follow the national action plans and reach and maintain the environmental quality standards that are given from the EU. And to clarify the needs of efforts in Stockholm, we have adopted an action plan for good water statutes to show how the water management within the city has to adopt and develop to reach the standards. So therefore, we have a series of local action programs, and this is important that there is one action plan for each water body. And they contain measures or actions that needs to be taken to reach the goals. And they are pointed out to the different offices within the city. And also important is that they are produced together with the other municipalities that we share the water with. So on the following slides, I'm going to give you some examples of the major measures that has been taken and make effect. And the greatest impact of the eutrophication is the treatment of sewage or wastewater. Since 1940, we have those built, and they work very good. And now we are in a stage of modernization where the most important one in Stockholm is being given a membrane technique, the biological membrane technique, which will give us it will improve both the quantity and the quality of the effect. And we see that the microplastics can be collected with this technique, and also some medication residues, and phosphorus, of course, and other pollutants. On the top of on the right, you can see a treatment of the phosphorus of the sediments where the phosphorus is, and there's a remediation by aluminum chloride, which is very often used in the lakes of Sweden, but now also in the coastal waters. And we also have stormwater treatment. And of course, to take care of the old sins from land use, we have to treat the contaminated soil. Expensive and not so easy. And supervision is also very much needed to help the industries to not make a great impact on the waters anymore. But we also put a lot of efforts in creating new habitats for fish and other species, because we know that the predatory fish is very important to balance the ecosystem, and it's also part of the eutrophication issue. So we create new habitats on land and also in the water. And we make a great effort on having a dialogue with the citizens, because they are very engaged. And the aim of that is to raise awareness and also to, of course, help them to act environmentally friendly and contribute to the situation. And I think a good example is up to the left, where we on the what do you call it, on the road, there's a mark saying here, this is where your lake starts, to make people aware of what you will do on your street. Like, for example, clean your car or so on, will often end up in the nearest lake. We also raise awareness about how fish can migrate nowadays, since there was a big effort of a fish migration route in this red square that you saw in between Lake Mälaren and the Baltic Sea. And nowadays there are 50 different species that are again able to go between those two areas. And what we can see on the picture is that people can follow in real time what is happening, and it's really popular. And also,
Katarina, yeah, we need to wrap up. Please, Katarina, sorry about that.
yeah, sure. The last picture here is about how the society helps themselves. They do lots of efforts themselves, and this is important to create good new places where people and where fish and human can meet. And the
Wonderful.
last one, just to sum up, we understand now after all our work that we really need patience and a common understanding on a multi-level governance. We need a budget. It's expensive, this. Last year we put 18 million euros only in Stockholm. And well, lots of conflict with land use, of course, so reserve land. Thank you.
I think your concluding remarks resonate the world over, the cities the world over, large and small, in the developed world and the developing world context. So thank you for that. And thank you for a wonderful presentation, Katarina. I think one of the things that really stood out for me was also that the EU Water Framework Directive that was adopted at the national level is really implemented globally, demonstrating that multi-level governance works and is absolutely vital to success in any city and the world over. So thank you for making all these very pertinent points, Katarina. I'm now handing over to our youth ambassador, Ahmet. A very quick, short question from you to Katarina before we move to our fourth speaker. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Kobe, and also Dr. Katarina, for your presentation. So I would like to know about your strategy to synergize all of the localized action that already stipulated in the strategic plan and also program that is also referred to the European Water Framework Directive. So how do you synergize every single intervention to be more localized, to be action on the ground without any overlapping? That's all.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I think you have to clarify a little bit. Can you say it again, really short?
So my question is about how do you synergize every single action that already stipulated on the strategic plan and program that refer to the European Water Framework Directive, especially in water action. We know that also you're engaging with the local communities, right? And then how do you synergize every single action without any overlapping? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, what's really important here is that you can see that there's a really need of common understanding on a political level in the city of Stockholm. So without them and without giving out different tasks for all of us to cooperate, it would not work. But since we've been given this strategy to put a cost or suggested or an approximate cost of things and how to do it, then we think we can make it rule. I don't know if that was answer question.
I think that's clear. Thank you. Thank you very much, Katarina.
Yeah.
And thank you once again for your presentation and all the insights shared. We are now very, very honored to be joined by a mayor from another part of the world. So we are welcoming His Excellency, Mr. Gi-chang Kwon, who is the mayor of Andong in Korea. And we are going to be addressed by His Excellency on building the future with water. So, Your Excellency, Mayor, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for joining us here today. We're very honored to have a mayor in the room with us today.
기창입니다. 물을 활용하여 내일을 만들라는 주제로 안동시의 지속 가능한 비전에 대해서 설명을 드리도록 하겠습니다.
Good afternoon. I'm Kwon Gi-chang, the mayor of Andong. It is such an honor to present Building the Future with Water, Sustainable Vision of Andong to the world.
깨끗한 물은 사람의 생명을 살리는 것입니다. 또 물이야말로 모든 생명의 근원입니다.
Clean water saves human lives. Water is the foundation of all living lives.
안동은 안동댐, 이마댐 두 개의 댐을 보유하고 있는 물이 풍부한 도시입니다. 안동을 흐르는 낙동강은 대한민국 인구의 4분의 1을 차지하는 영남권 1,300만 명에게 생명수를 공급하는 물의 공급의 전진기지입니다.
Andong has abundant water resources with two major dams, Andong and Imat Dam. The Nakdong River, which flows through Andong, is the origin of essential water supply for 13 million people in Yeongnam region, which is a quarter of entire South Korean population, 50 million.
지금까지 낙동강 수질에 대한 문제는 기상이변, 상수원 오염 사건이 발생할 때마다 이슈화되었지만은 근본적인 방법을 찾지 못했습니다. 댐에서 생기는 녹조 현상의 주된 요인은 축산계의 오염 물질입니다. 녹조는 수질을 악화시키고 정수 비용을 지속적으로 증가시켜 왔습니다.
So far, issues regarding to the water quality of Nakdong River has arisen whenever there's were unpredictable weather events or contaminated incidents at water sources, but no fundamental solutions have been proposed. The main cause of algal bloom in dams is pollutants from livestock farming. Algal blooms degrade water quality and increase water treatment costs.
또한 안동댐 상류에 위치한 제련소로 인해서 중금속 오염 문제가 지속적으로 제기되어 왔습니다. 중금속 오염으로 인해서 많은 물고기가 폐사하기도 했습니다. 땅에는 퇴적토속 중금속으로 인해 안전한 식수가 위협을 받아왔습니다.
Due to a smelter located at upper stream of Andong Dam, heavy metals have been persistent problem. Many fish have died due to heavy metals contamination in the water. Furthermore, safe drinking water has been threatened by heavy metals in the sediments of the soil.
우리는 혁신을 통해 산업을 일으켜 이 문제들로부터 해결점을 찾으려고 노력하고 있습니다. 국가 녹조 대응 종합센터를 유치하여 24시간 실시간 모니터링 분석을 통해 녹조 제거에 힘쓸 것입니다.
We seek solutions to these problems by driving industrial innovation. We plan to establish a National Algal Bloom Control Center, dedicating efforts to remove algal blooms through continuous real-time monitoring and analysis.
또한 퇴적토 정화, 중금속 수처리 기술 개발을 위해 물산업연구소 같은 전문 연구기관을 유치할 예정입니다. 지속 가능하고 친환경적인 수자원 관리를 위한 해결책입니다.
We also plan to attract specialized research institutes such as water industry laboratories and related companies to develop sediment and heavy metals remediation technologies. It is a solution for sustainable and eco-friendly water resource management.
우리는 깨끗한 물을 만드는 데 그치지 않을 것입니다. 기초자치단체 단위의 물 공급 시스템이 아니라 수개별 물 공급 시스템을 만들어야 합니다. 충주댐, 안동댐을 연결하는 댐 네트워크를 구축하고 낙동강 근역의 지자체까지 연결하는 수자원 네트워크를 통해서 더 많은 시민에게 깨끗한 물을 공급하게 될 것입니다.
We strive to go further than merely ensuring clean water. It is essential to establish an integrated water supply system to manage water rather than having it managed by separate individual local governments. The plan is to build a dam network connecting Chungju Dam and Andong Dam, extended to municipalities across the Nakdong River basin, and provide clean water to more citizens through this water resource network.
그리하여 우리는 깨끗한 물을 만들기 위한 가치 사슬을 만들려고 합니다. 연구개발 R&D, 혁신을 통해 물을 안동의 100년을 책임질 블루 골드로 재창조하여 기업을 유치시키고 친환경 일자리를 창출하고 더 깨끗한 물을 만들어내는 선순환 구조를 이룰 것입니다.
Thus, we aim to create a value chain dedicated to producing clean water. Through this research and development and innovation, we will transform water into blue gold that is sustain Andong for the next 100 years, attracting businesses, creating eco-friendly jobs, and generating cleaner water, thereby establishing a virtuous cycle.
안동시는 미래 세대를 위해 깨끗한 물을 지키겠습니다. 함께 깨끗한 물을 지켜나갑시다. 감사합니다.
Andong will protect clean water for future generations. Let's protect clean water together. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Your Excellency. What a wonderful example. And it's that togetherness for future generations that I think inspires all the work we do at ICLEI and at the local and subnational governments. And thank you very much for setting an example, not only in East Asia, but across the world, and for sharing your fantastic lessons under your leadership. It's important to have our political leaders driving the change and creating the enabling environment for our technical teams to take action. So I thank you very much for sharing this wonderful example. Again, a very, very short intervention from our youth representative, asking you, Honourable Mayor, if you wish a quick question of clarification. Over to you, Ahmet.
Thank you, Dr. Kobi. Thank you, Her Excellency Gi-chang Kwon. I would like to know about how do you develop a holistic and also inclusive approach policy that enables water effectively operationalized or implemented to address water pollution that you already presented on your.
So would you repeat that again a little bit slowly?
Sure. So my question is, how do you develop a holistic and also inclusive approach for your policy that enable water research and development, and as well as innovation in your city to be effectively implemented to address water issues that you already presented? Thank you.
안동시는 깨끗한 물을 만들기 위해서 많은 노력을 기울이고 있습니다만 근본적인 해결책은 아직까지 찾지를 못하고 있습니다. 예를 들면은 녹조 같은 경우에는 부유 물질을 제거하고 선박이라든가 AI 로봇을 이용해서 제거하는 것은 가능했지만 그것은 지속 가능한 녹조 문제를 해결하지 못하고 있습니다. 이와 같은 문제를 개발하기 위해서 녹조 대응센터를 유치해서 앞으로 R&D를 더욱더 강화해야 될 것이고, 이것은 안동만의 문제가 아니라 전 세계 모두 강의 녹조 문제를 해결하는 데 기여할 것으로 생각이 됩니다.
I hope this answers your question. Andong City is facing two major issues, like algal blooms and heavy metals contaminated in sediments. But firstly, we would like to share the initiative we are currently undertaking and the challenges we aim to tackle in the future, because the government also, we all need budgets and the time, as like Stockholm. And to address these issues, Andong City is establishing not just technical solutions, but also holistic and inclusive policies across governments with a strong focus on community-centered approach. Furthermore, as we move forward this initiative, we hope to share more further details in the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much also for that concise question and answer. Your Excellency, thank you for staying with us just a little longer as we now turn to our wonderful audience, very interactive audience. And I want to encourage all the participants in this webinar to keep on posting your questions in the chat box. We are taking note of them. And for those that we can't answer right today, I'm sure there will be opportunity for you to reach out to these cities individually and reach to them with your questions and comments, and perhaps form new partnerships partnerships, because we see this happening in and through these webinars. So I'm just selecting a few questions here. The first one is going to go to Durban, Russell. And I saw a very interesting question coming to you from Bali. The name is Edan. And he or she mentioned just a few days ago, they experienced the worst flooding in over a decade in Bali, and about 17 people lost their lives. This is also something that eThekwine has unfortunately experienced with. Hundreds of buildings were destroyed in that flood, and the economy almost came to a standstill. A major factor was river encroachment. When water levels rose, the long-standing illegal structures along the rivers were the first to collapse, worsening the damage. How has your city dealt with challenges like this in eThekwine? Russell, the floor is yours to answer this question.
Thanks, Kobe. I did actually respond to Eden, but I'll just express it here again. It's not a simple, quick solution to this problem. It is something that Durban has a lot of experience with, given that we have, I think it's about 120 informal settlements that are in vulnerable floodplain areas in our city. So they are prone to flooding. They are at high risk of being washed away. And there is no easy solution, especially in a city like Durban, which doesn't have a lot of flat land for communities to be moved to. So people squash into the little spaces that there are left. We are always in a process of trying to find space to translocate people to where they are safer, and they have more space to build a life. But what we can do in the short term is work on educating people, making them more aware of flooding, of the issues around flooding, of being close to rivers and what the risks are. We also work with some of our communities in developing early warning systems so that they are well informed ahead of storm events, to be sure that they are protected and they can move away before the storms come through. And we're always updating our disaster management plans and programs so that they are able to respond effectively and quickly in advance of a storm event, so that we are prepared, the people are ready, and the teams can get out on the ground to assist the communities when the storms come through. So I hope that answers the question.
Indeed, Russell. And I know you can go much deeper into
there's lots to say.
Because the city has had many experiences in this regard. And I think there are many questions coming through, which I invite the panelists to also respond to. I see an interesting question coming through here, Professor, to Istanbul, Professor Saatçi. And this is maybe going down memory lane a little bit, fond memories of the World Water Forum. Maybe your impressions as we're now planning for a next World Water Forum, your memories of that event and what you took as lessons learned from that, and the importance of these World Water Forums to bring together communities and also the urban community in settings like the World Water Forum. Any comment on how you engage with international events, organizations, including the World Water Council, but also other international organizations to help drive the action on the ground in Istanbul?
Thank you. We prepared the 5th World Water Forum in Istanbul. It was an eye-opener for me, actually. I'm a design engineer. I have spent all my time, more than 30 years, for designing water and wastewater treatment plants. And getting involved in this activity, I learned a lot. I learned that, as Monsieur Pouchon says, water is politics. And I had to relearn how politics is effective. As an engineer, I didn't know that. And as a result of all these activities, we started the Turkish Water Institute. And the purpose of it was to bring engineers and political scientists together as a think tank group. And we are connected directly to the minister. The water works in silos, as in most countries, but we are directly connected to the minister, which is in charge of state hydraulic works. And we attend international conferences and have been present in all the World Water Fora. After the 5th forum, we will have the 11th one, for example, in Riyadh. And we have different task forces. I am heading the task force Water and Health. And we are working on, after COVID, we are working on wastewater surveillance because we realized that the COVID RNA could be detected in wastewater, not only COVID, but other diseases, starting with smallpox, diarrhea, etc. So it's a very simple, important tool, very cheap, rather than measuring, detecting the disease from one person to the other. So we are working on this task force. And tonight I'm going to Osaka, where we will work on the fair, where we will work on the global consortium of wastewater surveillance. And I will be working together with Monsieur Bouchon on the wastewater surveillance. And we'll be representing the World Water Council there. So it has evolved from engineering solutions to politics, advising to ministers, into wastewater surveillance, and it keeps on going. I hope I could explain it. It's an immense field. It's an immense field. It has changed me a lot, but I'm still an engineer at heart.
Thank you very, very much, Professor Saatçi, and also good luck with your travels and the very important preparatory meetings towards the World Water Forum in Riyadh. We are certainly looking forward as ICLEI and a community of local and subnational governments the world over to play a very active role in Riyadh and to take lessons from you and from the 5th World Water Forum and the previous ones that took place. And thank you very much for the continued commitment in the field and for highlighting the very, very important aspects of wastewater. We see that it is something that is still not always first on the agenda in water discussions or in global development discussions, but it is part of our everyday lives. And at the local government level, it's very pertinent. Because we know the statistics and the figures of people, how many millions of people still do not have access to clean and safe wastewater facilities in our cities. Even in the city where I live in Cape Town, we see this as a big challenge. So thank you very much for flying that flag very high and making these preparations for Riyadh as well. I now would like to just go to Stockholm. And a very interesting question came through here. Again, looking at the Katarine, the EU Water Framework Directive. The question comes from Liddy Menauer, who said that this directive has helped align actions and standards across river basins at the regional level. But does this happen at the city level as well? At the city level, do municipal representatives also coordinate under a similar framework to set common goals and ensure water quality standards are achieved collectively? And if not, I can just maybe add, do you think they should? And is there a mechanism for them to do so? Katarina, your thoughts on this?
Thank you so much. It's a very good question because that's actually how it all started in Sweden when we implemented the framework. We could see that the national action programs or plans were very general and wouldn't really help us to understand what we had to do. I mean, what what was actually needed in our own water bodies, and what would the cost of those measurements be. So that's why we implemented those local programs or measures, which we think are very much needed for everyone to understand the problem, the challenges, and also to give us all a hint of what the costs are so that we can have a budget for it. And those are very much political, what do you call it, papers for the politicians to act on. But and also the recent years, since this has been so clear in Sweden that this local level is needed, it's also been pointed out in these national programs that every municipality has to perform those local programs. So we're actually moving forward to become more and more local, work on a more local level. But at the same time, we need for example, county board to be part of it. So, for example, now this year they've been given a pretty big budget to be like organizers or supervisors for their municipalities to be able to do things together. And that middle level on the county boards, I think, are very, very important.
Thank you, Katarina. Thank you for making those very important points. As a member of ICLEI, we're also very proud of you taking such a leadership role in your part of the world, across Europe, but also highlighting these solutions globally. So thank you very much for that answer. There's a general question I'd like to ask to all of our panelists, but before I get there, I would like to address to Your Excellency, the Mayor of Andong, the following question that has come from this group chat. To the Mayor of Andong, how has your city approached flood control and river management so far? And which strategies have proven most effective in balancing urban development with climate resilience? If you could maybe respond, I understand there will be translation, but if you could respond to that question, I'll appreciate it. Thank you.
지금 이야기해요. 홍수 피해 방지를 위해서는 결국은 댐을 많이 만들어야 된다. 그래서 여름철에 한국 같은 여름철에 비가 많이 오는데 이 빗물을 가둘 수 있는 저장장치 댐을 만드는 것이 1차적으로 중요하고, 그다음 두 번째로는 갑작스럽게 물이 불어나는 걸 방지하기 위해서는 산림 녹화에 많은 부분에 예산을 투입을 해야 됩니다. 산림 녹화가 잘 돼 있다면은 물이 산 속에서 가두어지기 때문에 급작스러운 홍수를 예방할 수 있지 않나, 이런 생각을 가지고 안동시에서는 홍수 예방을 위해서 산림 녹화 사업을 많이 시행을 하고 있습니다. 그다음에 물순환 도시 사업과 관련해서는 결국은 물이 대도시의 경우 대부분은 콘크리트 바닥이나 아스팔트 위에 빗물이 고이면은 도시 침수가 생기게 됩니다. 이와 같은 문제를 방지하기 위해서는 투수성 블록을 설치해서 물이 땅 속으로 스며들게 해서 물이 선순환되는 구조를 만들어야 되고, 안동시 같은 경우에는 식물 재배 화분도 만들어서 도시 녹색 댐을 건설해서 한 300만 톤 정도의 물을 저장하고 있습니다. 이와 같은 시설이 잘 활용된다면 도심의 침수 예방은 물론이고 물 부족 문제를 해결할 수 있지 않을까, 이런 생각을 가지고 있습니다.
For our Andong city, to put it simply, we need a lot of dams to prevent the flood. Especially during summer, we have unpredictable rainfalls. To prevent that from flooding, we need more budget to be spent on the mountain range. We can trap the water from the mountain range and save it and put it slowly to the community. And for Andong is developing a leading water circulation city that is actively respond to climate change. We implanted semi-permeable stone through the city to guide rainwater into the ground naturally, rather than letting it flow over asphalt or concrete road. Moreover, we have created urban green dam. It's also distributing plants beds, vegetable renetage area, and other green features across the city.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that answer. And linking to this question is a question to each panelist. We have a few minutes left, so very short response, but I think a very pertinent question coming from Charles Reeve in the chat box, focusing on solid waste management. Charles, your question was in the context of that it's an issue in African cities, but I'd like to actually think it's an issue the world over. It's a global issue, solid waste management. And your question is to each panelist, uncontrolled disposal of waste, solid waste, leads to pollution and blockage of surface water channels. We've seen it, plastic pollution, we've seen all sorts of pollution coming with storms, etc. And when our drainage systems can't cope with downpours, etc., and just wastewater or solid waste pollution in cities the world over. Unsanitary dump sites also lead to groundwater pollution. Would any of the speakers, and I'm inviting any and all of you, like to speak about the importance of this challenge of solid waste infiltrating our groundwater and also blocking our wastewater systems, and how you think or how you are already addressing this issue of solid waste? And maybe I can start with our learned Professor Saatçi on this topic.
Yeah, disadvantage of being a professor, yeah. Yes, we have two kinds of solid waste. One that comes from the water treatment plants. This is mostly aluminum or iron chloride. They are much easier to store, and they have less effect. For wastewater, sludge is the main problem. In cities where we don't have much industrial inputs into the wastewater treatment plants, in the south or the east part of Turkey, the solid waste is used in agriculture. And the villagers, they take it by themselves. After being dried, it can be used as a soil conditioner. And it has good effects, but it is controlled, of course. It shouldn't contain heavy metals and poisonous substances. In the cities, which is our main problem, the situation is not very easy. You have dumping sites. If you don't have enough layers of plastic sheets, geomembranes to contain the wastewater, that the seepage from it, then you have groundwater pollution. But in Istanbul, on the northern part, we collect the sewage, the drainage from these dump sites. It goes through biological treatment, and it goes through membrane treatment. And after that, it can be used for irrigation or injected to the rivers. But we are out of dumping sites for the leachate. And what we are doing is we are incinerating it. Like big cities like Bursa, we have incineration started. And the problem with the incineration is that at the end, you have ash forming. And it is not a small amount of it. And it contains all the heavy metals and all that because they don't burn out. And you have to dump it to a legal site where you can contain these pollutants. And the incineration gases which come out, they have to be treated accordingly. You have many poisonous gases coming out. So we have different technologies for this. So the answer is, in small villages, etc., where you don't have any industrial input, we use it for irrigation, for the agriculture. But for big cities, the trend is going towards incineration like it happens in most European cities.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Saatçi. And as we can see here, we need systemic solutions. We need a whole it's all an interconnected system. Solid waste, wastewater, pollution, our health, planetary health, all very much interconnected. Katarina, do you want to give a few thoughts, even if just briefly, on the topic of solid waste and water management? Katarina, you are on mute.
Connected to the environmental, to the management, the water management issue, I would say that what we are on the journey now to try to increase the knowledge of what are the different soil sites that are actually affecting the waters, and of course try to control them and to raise again awareness of the awareness of or the need of actions. And then of course supervision is very important for us to use. But what we do need and also very much clear see is that we need state funds. I mean, it's so expensive, of course, to deal with those issues. So what we do is that when we can't address the problem to someone, we need to like as a municipality take part of it ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And let's also hear, Russel, from you. And then we'll turn to His Excellency Gi-chang Kwon for the last input from our speakers before we wrap up this part of the webinar and go over to the exciting photographic competition. But Russel, this issue of solid waste is a big one also in cities across Africa and in your city.
No, definitely, and it's one of the primary objectives of our transformative program is to remove solid waste litter, because it's often contaminated with oils and detergents out of our river systems, and that's the process we're trying to develop as a mechanism that shows the benefits to the city and to the communities. Transformative in a way that it changes the way people see rivers as not just dumping grounds, but valuable assets to communities. And the TRMP uses those communities to clean the rivers. It's proven to reduce the impacts on our infrastructure and to allow free-flowing water and to improve water quality. So it's exactly what our TRMP is trying to achieve is solid waste reduction.
Thank you very much. A very, very big issue the world over, and something that needs a lot of attention from cities, and again in the multi-level governance approach. And let us give the last word on the topic of the connection between solid waste management and water management to Your Excellency Gi-chang Kwon from Korea. Just give us your insights before I wrap up this part of the webinar. Thank you.
그걸 제가 하기 위해서 어떻게 하느냐고. 안동댐에는 홍수가 발생할 때마다 대규모의 쓰레기들이 댐으로 유입됩니다. 일단 유입을 방지하기 위해서 안동시가 하고 있는 것은 대부분 유입되는 쓰레기들은 농업용 부산물입니다. 비닐이라든가 스티로폼, 농약병들인데 이것을 사전에 안동시가 무상 수거를 합니다. 그리고 댐에 유입이 되었을 때는 하류로 내려오는 것을 방지하기 위해서 그물막을 설치하고 그 쓰레기를 모은 다음에 선박을 이용해서 폐기물을 처리하고 있는 그러한 방법을 채택을 하고 있습니다. 가장 문제가 되는 것은 댐에 쓰레기가 유입되지 않도록 해야 되는데 이것은 시민들이 같이 협조를 해 주셔야 될 것으로 생각이 되고, 앞으로 안동시는 이와 같은 문제를 해결하기 위해서 클린시티 운동을 하고 있습니다. 내 집 앞, 내 가게, 내 지역에 있는 주변의 쓰레기들은 내 스스로 치우자, 그리고 덜 버리자, 이런 운동을 많이 실천하고 있는 상황입니다.
Andong City has the Andong Dam River that gets flooded with solid matters, especially in summer times. And whenever that happens, Andong City itself provides free trash or solid matters collecting to the waste site instead of the people of Andong to put them away. Furthermore, Andong also voluntarily cleans the city with the people. That causes the less solid matters to the river and dam water.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Precise answer, but very powerful response as well. So it's good to know that our cities are looking holistically and systems at the systems level, really, at the issues of solid waste, water management, climate change, addressing climate change, and also ecosystem-based solutions and looking after our environment, all in a social context, which was highlighted also by eThekwine. So I would like to say thank you very much to the representatives of Istanbul, eThekwine, Stockholm, and Andong city for sharing with us today the innovative steps their cities are taking to improve water quality. I'd like to highlight that there are many more questions and very provocative and interesting comments as well in the chat box. So we will try and respond, and please reach out to these cities individually. We like this platform for forming new partnerships and getting the debate going. Thank you very much for the active participation from the audience as well. Water which is too dirty is not water at all. And this shows us how an integrated approach across water being too little, too much, and too dirty is needed, especially under climate change conditions. Today, cities are tasked with the implementation of nationally determined rights and policies at the local scale for the direct benefit of their populations. Policies are made nationally, but it is at the local level where they turn into action. Today's speakers represent cities from very different geographies and scales, but it strikes me that we have so much in common and that we can identify common challenges which they all face. Population pressures place habitats and ecosystems under threat, a process which is accelerated by climate change. In response, these cities have taken proactive action to ensure good water quality at local level based on empirical evidence, meaningful stakeholder engagement and communication, and most importantly, dedicated political leadership. I would like to thank our audience today for their engagement, and I hope you are just as inspired as we are at ICLEI by the cases we heard today. And we, together with the World Water Council, will work hard to make sure that these messages also go through to the World Water Forum in Riyadh. Please join us for the 4th webinar in this exciting series on partnerships for urban water resilience, a roundtable event where we will convene political leadership of cities with national level leaders and United Nations representatives to discuss how to harness the power of collective action. To respond to the challenges of water too little, too much, and too dirty, cities need to access to technical, financial, and as well as leadership resources to support their proactive steps to becoming water resilient. This webinar will take place early in December on a date to be announced. I would also like to thank our partner in the Cities with Water webinar series and photographic competition, the World Water Council, for their continued strong leadership in global water issues. ICLEI looks forward to building on and strengthening this partnership in the lead up to the 11th World Water Forum in 2027 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where we will support the active and meaningful engagement of local authorities, cities, and regions. We now transition to the Cities with Water photo competition and a showcase, a very brief showcase, but important showcase of the 16 finalists and the 4 category winners across too little, too much, too dirty, and the very important Youth Prize. We received a very large number of entries from around the world, and the quality of the entries was particularly good, demonstrating graphically the local reality of urban water resilience. It is important for us to support art as a medium of communication, as it opens the possibility of gaining inputs from a broader range of people, where they are able to share something of their daily reality with us. ICLEI will continue using visual storytelling for its ability to help us to understand context and the ways to remove from our own and imagine a desired future. I would like to thank the sponsors of the prizes of the competition, Arup, the Netherlands Enterprise Agency, and of course the World Water Council. We look forward to continuing this collaboration. I will now hand over to my colleague from ICLEI, Luca Dreyer, who convened the judging panel of the competition, to share with us some of the highlights of the competition and present us with the shortlisted entries and the winners. Thank you very much. Luca, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for that fantastic introduction to the competition, Kobe. It really means a lot to have that support in this kind of experimentation in visual storytelling. So yeah, just to introduce myself again to everyone, my name is Luca Dreyer, and I've been involved in a number of these types of photo competitions over the past year or two, and really seeing the power and potential in not just photography, but different forms of visual storytelling, to really not only add to existing stories and insights we have about water systems and other complex systems, but to be able to tell entirely new stories as well and really grow our understanding. And it was with this in mind that we as ICLEI, together with the World Water Council, decided to run this competition in parallel with the webinar series to broaden the conversation beyond a technical and government perspective, but to also embrace a whole of society approach. And as our different speakers today have shown, education, awareness raising, community-based action, partnerships with local government and civil society are also a very integral part in dealing with water challenges and producing more resilient urban water systems. So I invite everyone, as we see the 16 finalists and the 4 winners from this competition, to really keep that in mind, that these two processes are speaking to one another, and that at the end of the day we are working towards a synthesis of initiatives from a local government level as well as from civil society and other sectors of society. I would also like to draw attention to the fact that our generous sponsors from Arup, the Netherlands Enterprise Agency, and their associated Water is Leverage initiative, and the World Water Council, as well as one independent water consultant and photographer, all formed a very talented and multifaceted judging panel with a deep well of experience that helped us ultimately select these finalists and 4 winners. So without further ado, I will be sharing a small short video from my side that will actually take us through our 4 categories, the respective finalists and the winner in each of those. If you will just all give me one moment.
Makes sense. Exactly. I just.
So I think, having seen a brief overview of our 16 finalists and 4 winners, we can all agree, just speak to the uniformly outstanding quality of entries received. And that was just, a fraction, maybe 10% of the overall submissions. To round us off, then, I would like to transition to showing just a brief snippet of an interview that I had conducted with each of the 4 winners. So, of course, this only provides a brief snapshot into these photographers' insights and their thinking going into these stories, but I think provides a much needed bit of additional insight for us. So with that said, I would like to kick us off with a brief extract from an interview I conducted with Kevin Ochieng from Nairobi, Kenya, the photographer behind the winning entry for Too Little, Digging Deep. If you will just give me one moment, I will then play his interview.
I am a documentary and photographer, and a filmmaker based in Nairobi, Kenya. My background is in visual storytelling as a tool for advocacy, especially around climate change, social justice, and community resilience. But over the past years, I've been working with NGOs, grassroots organizations, and CBOs here in Nairobi and Kenya at large to highlight these untold stories around the themes that I've just mentioned. Currently, my focus is using photography to show how people are adapting to maybe environmental challenges, climate challenges, and show how their everyday actions can inspire different kinds of solutions. That is basically what I do in a nutshell. And my award-winning image called Digging Deep was taken in Garissa. Garissa is a town in Kenya that had been facing drought for like 4 years. And the particular photo shows 2 young boys trying to sort water from a hand-dug well at a riverbed. This is a very common practice actually in that community. Behind the scenes, there were like 10 hand-dug wells called lagers, shallow wells which are dug on dry riverbeds for communities to be able to access water. This photograph shows both struggle, but also resilience, because as you may have noticed, the people who are sorting out for water are actually young boys, very, very young boys who are digging the earth for water and for survival, because this is a very common practice, like I said, in that region. And you asked about the most important lesson that you could tell in the photograph itself. The most important lesson behind that photograph is that water scarcity it's not just a technical issue or an infrastructural issue around these areas, but it's a human experience that shapes dignity, health, issues around opportunity, because you may have noticed these young boys were doing this on a weekday where they were supposed to be in school. So that is what I mean when I say water scarcity actually is an experience that shapes opportunity, because it has deprived some of these young boys and others from accessing education. Why? Because they are looking out there looking for water, and it's a whole thing in that region.
So once again, they're highlighting not just the technical aspect of Too Little Water, but that it is a social, societal issue as well, and how it entrenches itself in different parts of everyday life. With that, I would like to very briskly move on to a short extract from an interview with Dikie Aryani from Jakarta, Indonesia, who is the winning photographer behind Silent Witness to the Sinking of Jakarta under our category Too Much.
Okay. Dike Aryani, you can call me Dike. I live in Jakarta, which is the capital city of Indonesia. I'm actually doing the as a consultant for human resource, but I also do the photography. Right now, more focusing on commercial and industrial, but I like to take photos of the environment, flora and fauna, and also portrait. So when I have free time, like over the weekend, I like to go to some slum or small area, whether in Jakarta or outside Jakarta, just to see how the people live in the village or at the slum area in Jakarta. It's always interesting for me to take photos of the environment and how it relates to the society, the people life, and also affect the flora and fauna around the area. So that's more or less about me. The area itself, the mosque, actually before it's a big mosque that people come to pray, but because happen of the frequent tidal floods, and then they become it become gradually sinking, and then now it's you can see only the roof of the mosque. I think so far that's what happened in that area in North Jakarta. That's North Jakarta is the one that close to the sea in Jakarta.
And then moving on to our third winner, I'm going to play a short clip from an interview with Gerdi Hutomo, also from Jakarta, Indonesia, speaking a little bit about his entry cleaning up the shore under the category Too Dirty.
Is Gerdi Hutomo, and I'm from Indonesia. Actually didn't have a professional background in photography, and I was self-taught in photography and learned photography for about 15 years. I'm currently just a hobbyist, loving to take photos of my city and the people and culture in it. The story I want to tell is of my winning photo is daily life of a worker that clean up the shores of Jakarta. At the time of the picture, there are several workers that work hard from sunrise to sunset to clean up the shores. But fortunately, nowadays, the shores are already cleaned up using excavators, and the cleaning process is getting faster. I think the most important lesson is don't throw away garbage anywhere, and especially in the inner city canals, because the garbage will flow into the shores and make the shores very dirty, just like in my photos. And I hope the local government and the community help maintain the city shores so it will stay clean, and the water is preserved. I would like to see my local government to educate more to the people the effect of throwing garbage into the city canals and actively involves communities to maintain and monitor the water quality. Another idea is maybe for the local government to provide more additional waste treatments and water treatment infrastructure.
So once more, another entry and visual story highlighting education, awareness raising, collaboration between local government and civil society. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to present a short statement from Sujal Pandey from Nepal, speaking on his winning image, Beneath the Bridge, Beyond the Waste, as the winner of our Young Storytellers category.
Sujal Pandey. I'm 19 years old and originally from Nepal. I recently graduated from Trinity International College in Kathmandu, and I am now a freshman at the University of South Florida, where I study computer science. Besides academics, I have a passion for photography, which I use as a way to notice and share the hidden stories in daily life. I took this picture as a photo voice participant of Bagmati River scoping study in Kathmandu that was funded by Australian Water Partnership. So, my winning photograph, Beneath the Bridge, Beyond the Waste, captures a simple but powerful scene I observed in my community. A bridge, often seen as a symbol of connection, was hiding the waste and pollution beneath it. To me, this represents how urban water challenges are often overlooked in daily life. The lesson I take from this is that important issues like water pollution can exist right in front of us but remain unseen unless we choose to look it closely. So I believe this lesson is important for our local government and water practitioners. Addressing water pollution is not only about infrastructure or technology, but also about seeing and valuing the lived experiences of urban residents. If policymakers engage with communities and learn from their everyday realities, solutions can become more inclusive and sustainable. By combining technical expertise with community perspective, cities can move closer to achieving water systems that are resilient and responsive to people's needs. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
So with that, I'd just like to express a heartfelt thanks to everyone that stayed for this extra chapter of today's webinar to see the integration of these processes of photography competition and the webinar. Honestly, there's so much more one can say and can dig into with these winning entries and photographers' work, but I think I will end us off by simply encouraging everyone to visit our online exhibition page, where you can see all 16 shortlisted entries and read the stories and descriptions behind each of them. If possible, it would be good to have perhaps that slide displayed once more, but I will also paste a link to our online exhibition in the chat. With that, I humbly hand over to our facilitator once more to close us out.
That's actually the close of the session. So thank you to everyone for participating, and hope to see you at the 4th webinar.